Dear friends, in this video let me to discuss an important aspect of subject on labor legislation, that is the Industrial Employment Act, which is widely recognized as standing orders. This is the part of the syllabus of HRM in many universities. Many times it is observed that the student a little bit confused about the terms to get the basic thread of the subject on standing orders. Maybe the terms standing, maybe often the student get idea in their mind that the order which is standing and it is never sit, always it is standing like that. Let me to give a simile for the comparison purpose. In the literature we are using a simile for the comparison. The simile is that in the city corporation, there is an elected body, the people representative, the corporators are there. The corporator among themselves select or to elect mayor, deputy mayor, like that. Generally, the mayor and his team responsible for the administration of a city corporation. Along with this administration setup, there are some other committees also there. In city corporation, there is a finance committee. Look after this, the financial matters, financial affairs, about the tax rate, and so many other things. Or the planning committee to plan for the city development like that. Along with that, there is one important committee that is the standing committee. Generally, an experienced corporator, senior corporator head this standing committee. Two or three experienced corporators are the members. What is the duty of the standing committee? If you observe that, the general duty of the standing committee is to look into the matter, whether the administration, the whole administration setup of the city corporation followed various rules and regulations, or whether they followed various norms prescribed, or whether they acted according to the general procedure. Is there any procedure lapse? Is that what is the right procedure, etc. They discuss. Along with that, the various guidelines that are there basically built in the city corporation or regularly issued by the government. Whether these guidelines are properly followed or not, this is the duty of the standing committee to observe that. Similarly, whenever we are coming to the industrial organization, generally we know one of the main problem or some of the main problem of a dispute is the industrial relation. It may be related with the wages, it may be related with the sanction of the leave, it may be related with these working hours, or it may be related with the disciplinary actions such as suspending some employees or terminating some employees. So generally this type of the problems or dispute give rise to this unrest in the industry. So we want a very peaceful atmosphere to carry the operation smoothly, both for employer as well as to the workers, both to the management as well as to the employees. So if you have any document in writing where All the rules, regulations, procedures, guidelines, norms, etc. are prescribed. That we can call it is the standing order. For the purpose, there is one legislation. And the legislation is the Industrial Employment Act standing order, which extended to the whole of India, enacted on 23rd April of 1946. It is enacted during the British period. It is a pre-independence period, just 14 months before or to 16 months before independence. This act enacted. The act contains about 15 sections along with a schedule, a list, and a model standing order. Model standing order. So what I discuss first about the schedule, and the schedule is given at the end of the act. If you know what are the contents of schedule, you can understand the basic reason for the enactment of this legislation, this important legislation. There may be a many problem between the management and workers. They given about the 10 areas in the schedule. It may be related with this classification of the workers. Permanent workers, temporary workers, apprentices who are the trainees, probationaries. Generally I know one situation. A man working in a leading company. Generally he thought that he is a permanent employee, he is working for the last 12 years. One fine morning his name appeared in the list of the temporary employees of that organization. He was a little bit shocked. So how he become a temporary? Temporary maybe he may be removed at any time. Apprentices are there. There may be a management trainees. Under what condition they are the management trainees? To become the regular employees, what are the rules and regulations? Generally, we know that at the beginning of the various officers or to this other staff, probationary period. The management or even government organization also there is a probationary period is there. During the probationary period, the management can remove any employee without having a reason. So in such a cases, the employee want to know that what is the probationary period, under what circumstances he may be removed like that. There may be a casual workers, there may be a regular workers, there may be a badali workers. So what is the definition of this classification? So one thing is a serious matter of concern. And the second one is that manner of intimating the workman on periods and hours of the work. How many hours the workers want to work, and what is the period, at what time, and at what time it ends, what is the number of holidays, what are the number of pay days, on which day is the holiday, whether it is Sunday or in the middle of the week, and what is the wage rate, what is the increment for year, etc. So many things generally the employees wanted to know. And shift working. The many industries are working on shift basis. And practically generally 3 shifts are there. And these shifts are rotating. So generally for 1 week it may be morning shift. And for the next week it may be afternoon shift. And for the another third week it may be a night shift, like that. So how this rotation take place? And what is the holiday for the shift workers? On which day they can observe holiday? This type of the problem comes. Attendance. So generally the attendance must be there. want to be keep attendance register. It may be a manual or it may be a mechanical. Where attendance, if it is a manual, where the attendance register is available and on whose table it is available. Otherwise, generally we know employee want to come in the early morning and want to be search where the attendance register is kept. And if it is a mechanical device of attendance, so it may be a punching by using a card, or it may be a biometric system by using the fingerprint, thumb impression, or it may be face reading, eye reading or face reading, like that. So what is the type of attendance? How they can get their attendance registered? So what is the procedure? Like that, it is a matter of discussion. Late coming. In the government organization, generally we know that suppose if an employee is regularly late for 3 days by 15 minutes, it may be considered as a 1 CM. It is the rules. So these rules the employee want to be know before starting his employment, before joining the employment. And what are the conditions of procedure in applying for and the authority which may grant leave and holidays? To whom an employee want to be and worker want to be apply for the leave? What are the conditions? How many days before he want to be apply for the holidays or to leave? And otherwise, sometime I know one incident. One family arranged for a tour and they booked for the air ticket for the North India, and he applied. But before the day of his tour, his manager rejected the leave application. Leave was not sanctioned. So stating some simple reason. So leave application is not in a proper format, or leave application is not submitted in advance, like that. So we want to be avoid that type of the problem. There may be a sixth condition, a requirement to enter into the premises by certain gates. Generally we know whenever we are entering into these even workers or to these other publics entering into these factory premises, there are certain restrictions. Only in a certain gate they are allowed. Which gate it is? What are the security? Generally we know. And there is a CISF people are there, personals are there to check entry and exit. So what type of this search procedure? So want to be having one definite rules. Closing and reporting of section. At what time the department, suppose if it is a general section, morning 10 to 5 or to 5:30. At what time the department opens, at what time the department closes, and if a temporary stoppage of the work, what are the rights and liabilities? What are the rights and liabilities of the employer and workman arising therefrom? And who is responsible for the stoppage of the work? This type of the issues are generally confronted in the organization. Termination of employment and its procedure. So, in what condition and management can terminate its workers? What are its conditions? Sometimes we know termination is possible, but 3 months advance notice required. Otherwise, want to be pay 3 months salary to the employees who is going to be terminated, etc. So this type of the condition. Often suspension under the disciplinary action. Taken some disciplinary action against a worker and suspended. And what is the procedure of the inquiry? How we can get back into the organization? How we can get back to the employment? How a management can dismiss an employee? For the what are the misconduct can be ruled out? What is the misconduct want to be have? So this type of the problems are there. And if there is any problems are there, means of redress of workman against unfair treatment. Many times, there may be a wrongful decision of the management. So in such a cases, how an employee can get a justice At least he has a right to get a natural justice. And many times, management penalize the worker by cutting the salary, reducing the salary for this and that reason like that. So we want to have very concrete document. So we can say that standing order is a document in writing. So standing order is a document in writing. It is duly certified by the government authorities, duly certified, duly approved by the government authority. Generally, it is approved or agreed by both the parties, the management and workers, or employer and employee. Both parties agreed for the rules, regulation, procedure, norms, and so many other things. So that is the standing order. So section 1, altogether I said there are 15 sections. Section 1 related with the application to which organization this act apply. And it is said that to any industrial establishment or to every industrial establishment whose strength is more than 100, wherein 100 or more workers are there. 100 and more workers means, suppose if the management say that no, we do not have 100 workers, we have right now only 90 workers. In such a cases, so we want to look at the preceding 12 months. In the preceding 12 months period, if any one day, if in that organization 100 workers employed, 100 workers worked, then we consider that to that organization this act is applicable. And appropriate government, either state government or to the central government, by giving a notice or publishing in the official gazette, may apply this act to any industrial establishment even where there is less than 100 workers. That we want to be understand. Even the government has a right, has a power to apply this act even to the industrial organization where there is less than 100 workers, provided it want to be give advance notice to that organization or they want to be published in the official gazette. So one of the very frequent terms we want to be confront in this act is that certifying officer. Section 2C, Section 2C of the act give who is the certifying officer. Certifying officer is the labor commissioner. Labor commissioner. There is a labor department and they have regional officers. So in Karnataka there is a labor commission for the state level and there are 5 regional labor commissions are there, regions are there and regional commissions are there. So certifying officer may be labor commissioner of the state level or regional labor commissioner and includes any other officials appointed by the appropriate government by notification in the official gazette. They want to be published in the official gazette to perform all or any of the function of certifying officer under this act. So the government has a right to appoint certifying officer. Now you require to understand that generally the certifying officer of the standing order is the labor commissioner or regional labor commissioners. So what is the industrial establishment? So we already discussed Industrial Dispute Act. In the Industrial Dispute Act, they given the list of industries. The same is there. Same reference is there. Now, under this act, we want to be refer Industrial Dispute Act Factories Act and Payment of Wages Act and Indian Railway Act to identify industrial establishment to whom this Industrial Employment Act applies. So, what are the industries coming under this act is also coming under this act. So, section 3 deals with this submission of a draft standing order. So, any organization after the commencement or after the applicability, suppose if the number of workers cross 100, then only it is applicable. Want to be submit draft standing orders. It is a draft standing order which is to be proposed by him in his organization to the certifying officer, and he want to be submit 5 copies of the draft standing order. It is a set of rules, regulation, procedure, norms, guidelines, etc. And the condition is that while drafting this standing order, we want to be follow all the matters given in the schedule. In the schedule, the 10 schedules, 10 points we discussed about the attendance, about the disciplinary actions, about the classification of the workers. All the matters should be included in that. And want to be submit 5 copies along with the particulars of the workers. The name, designation, age, sex, and many other particulars. That is in a definite format in that. Particulars of the workers, and want to be give particulars of the trade union, the workers organization. Along with this, the trade union name and the name or the address of the office of the trade union, etc. want to be submitted. Section 4 related with the condition for the certification. Certifying officer, the labor commissioner or to regional labor commissioner, receive draft copy of the standing order. And one of the condition as per the section 4 is that he want to be look into the matter, whether the provision or the provision given in the schedule is included or not. And it is one of the condition. Provision should be made for every matter given in the schedule. For the any management has no right to leave any matter given in the schedule. Therefore, want to be incorporate rules, regulation, procedure, norms, etc. for all the matters. The draft should be in conformity with the provision of the act. The act, whatever the act is there, want to be followed, and the standing order drafted by the management should not be contradict on any matter given in the act. We want to be strictly follow the various guidelines given in the act while drafting our own standing order for our industrial establishment. Section 5 related with the certification of standing orders. So, on receipt of a draft copy, the certifying officer send a copy to the trade union of the organization, generally to the president of the trade union. If no trade union exists there, if there is no trade union in that organization, then to the workers. Then to the workers as prescribed in the act. Generally, trade union exists, workers organization exists there. Therefore, generally the certifying officer send a copy, draft copy, not approved copy, draft copy to the trade union leaders. Now, trade union leaders are allowed, or to any workers are allowed to submit objection. Suppose if the workers or to the trade union is not agreeing on any terms and condition or rules and regulations or to the procedure given in the standing order, they can submit objection, and this must be done within 15 days. So they can raise objection within 15 days. And here the certifying officer want to be give a proper opportunity to both the parties, employer as well as employee, to present their views. Ultimately, so after hearing both the parties, want to be follow the natural laws there. After hearing both the parties, he decide about the modification, if any, or he can certify as it is, or revised, modified. So if there is any modification, certifying officer want to be send a copy of the certified standing order to the employer as well as the trade union within the 7 days. It is given under the section 5. Suppose if the certifying officer satisfied about the draft copy of the standing order presented by the management, submitted by the management, but workers are not satisfied, in such a cases, section 6 give a right to them, to both the parties, employer as well as employees, for appeal, go for this appeal to the appellate authority, Melmanavi Pradhikar. They can go for this appeal, and appellate authority want to be take a decision, and once they take a decision, they want to be convey the decision to both the parties, to the concerned parties, within 7 days. It is as per the section 6. Section 7 about the operation, or to this application as well as the operation. Once certifying officer certified, it is the authentication, then to that organization the standing order is applicable or want to be implement. It will come into the operation on the expiry of 30 days. Suppose if a certifying officer approved or certified the standing order submitted by an establishment on 1st January, then after the 30 days, it means that from 31st January, it came into the operation on to be apply that standing order. And section 8 related with this register of standing order. And I said standing order needs to be certified. Certification in the sense, to the certifying officer there is a register. Register in the sense it is a sort of a book. He want to be record, certifying officer want to be record the draft copy of the standing order in a prescribed form in the register. Then registration process is completed. Once it is registered in the specified register or a book meant for that, then copies can be issued. The copies can be issued to any person who is interested. And for the purpose, generally certifying officer charge a prescribed amount of fees. Definite amount of fees is there. By paying the fees, we can get draft copy of the standing order or to the copy of the standing order of any establishment from the certifying officer, generally Labour Commission. Section 9 related with this posting of standing order. Here the posting in the sense it is publishing. Once the management or to the employer get the copy of the certified standing order, he want to be display, he want to be post, he want to be affix the whole text in a prominent place, in such an important place of the premises, factory premises, industrial premises, which is visible for all the employees, because this is the way of the communication of the rules and regulations standing order to the workers. Therefore, want to be displayed in a prominent place to get the notice of all employees. And the condition is that want to be display that standing order of English as well as the regional language. Many industrial workers may say that it is in English, we are not understanding English. In such a cases, the employer, the management want to be publish the copy of standing order in regional languages also. That is very important. Section 10 about the duration and modification of the standing order. The Act says that, section 10, according to the section 10, once the standing order is certified or approved by a certifying officer, can modified only after the 6 months from the date of authentication or from the date from which it came into the operation, or from the last modification, and there must be a 6 months period between the modification according to the section. Here they are given that modification can be made on mutual consent or on agreement, look here, on agreement between the employer and the employees. It can be made. And here, if employer or employees, workers, need any modification, if they are not satisfied about the condition given in the standing order and they look for modification, in such a case, they can apply for modification to the certifying officer. And condition is that want to be submit 5 copies of modification, proposed modification, and want to be submit, if there is a mutual consent, want to be submit the copy of the agreement between employer and employee about the various terms. Copy of the agreement must be submitted to the certifying officer. Section 10A says about, this is related with this, suppose if a worker is suspended or dismissed. Section 10A relates with this payment of subsistence allowance. Suppose if a worker is suspended, and once suspended means there is a definite procedure in it. It is covered under the different act. How the inquiry will be take place, how the investigation will take place, and who is the investigator, like that. Or the worker may have the right to put a matter into the labor court. So in such a case, suppose if there is any suspension or to dismissal, especially suspension, for the charges on misconduct, willful negligence, or sometime not obeying the rules, all are considered as a misconduct. In such a case, during the period of inquiry and investigation, the management, the employer need to pay 50% of the salary, 50% of the wages as a subsistence allowance for the first 90 days to the worker. If within the 90 days the inquiry is not completed, the inquiry officer is not come to conclusion, in such a cases, for the remaining period, the management want to pay 75% of wages. That is the condition given under the standing order. If there is any dispute with regard to the amount of subsistence allowance, so then workman or the employer has a right to take that matter to the labor court. Suppose if there is any dispute arises about the amount of subsistence allowance, it is a 50%, 75%. Suppose if the management gives less than that, the worker is not satisfied, he is aggrieved. In such a cases, he has a right to take the matter to the labor court. Section 11 is certifying officer and appellate authorities have a power of civil court. And it means that the certifying officer, labor commissioner, has a judicial right. Judicial right. And generally we consider that it is a quasi-judicial court. And it is considered, it is equal to the civil court. And given that, for the purpose of receiving evidences, they can get evidences, they can administer oath in the name of the God, not in the name of so and so, or they can compel the attendance of anybody related with the matter, whatever the position. It means that it is the judicial power. We can enforce the attendance of any person to attend his court personally, of any witness, or compelling the discovery to detect and production of a document. He can demand for any documents. The court can demand for any document which it deemed necessary for the purpose of the judgment. So they can invite for that type of this document. They can demand for that type of the document. So here one thing is very important. Suppose if any industrial organization which has more than 100 number of workers, if they are not framed their own standing order, not get it registered, in such a cases, it is given under the section 11 that so if own standing order is not there, then the model standing order given under the act is applicable. As an annexure, there is a model standing order in the Act. It is applicable. Suppose if standing order is certified a particular category of workers. Suppose if there is a skilled worker is that, unskilled worker is that. Suppose if the management prepared and get certification only for a certain category, skilled workers. The terms and conditions related with these unskilled workers is not included in the standing order. So in such a cases, for the remaining category, say here for the unskilled workers, for the skilled worker there is a certified standing order. For the unskilled workers, model standing order is applicable. Model standing order given in the Act is applicable. Section 12A is related with this temporary application of the model standing order. So as I said, if there is no certified own standing order, then model prescribed in the Act is applicable. It is not in section 11, it is related with this section 12A. Okay. Section 13. It is related with the penalty. Suppose if the worker as well as the employer, especially the employer, fails to submit the standing order within the 6 months of its establishment, they are eligible to frame their own standing order, but they failed to do so. So in such a cases, they are punishable with the fine up to rupees 5,000 according to the section 13. Once they find and continued the offense, they failed to come forward to frame the standing order. In such a cases, the fine is up to rupees 200 per day. Yes. If an employer or any employer failed to observe the provision given in the standing order, it means that directly to that, suppose if we violate the terms and conditions given in the standing order, then in such a cases he is punishable. There is a penalty of a fine up to rupees 100. Suppose if you continued that offense, then the fine is rupees 25 for every day. Section 13A is that question on interpretation of the standing order. And you know, suppose if some concept is that the different people give interpretation in different way. And many times while our coming to the industrial organization, workers give interpretation in their own way which is beneficial to them. Employer may give interpretation which is beneficial to him. There may be a problem. In such a cases, both employer and employee can get clarification. It means that they want to be approach any labor codes. If there is any controversy between employer and employee about any point given in the standing order, then they want to approach labor court to have a clarification. So that is the section 13A. Section 15 is that it is about the power to make rules. The 14 is very not important for you. Power to make rules. Any appropriate government, either state government or to the central government, has a right to make rules. And these rules are to prescribe additional matters to be included in the schedule. As we already discussed, there are 10 matters. 10 matters means cover almost all matters of any industrial establishment. if any matters to be added, it is the power of the government. And there is a model standing order given in that. If the government desire to change any terms given in the standing order, it has the power. The government also has power to prescribe the procedure for certifying officer and appellate authorities. They may change the procedure followed by the certifying officer. And the government has also the power to prescribe, to change the fees charged to get registered copy of standing order from prepared by or to registered by the certifying officer. So this is some part of explanation which is sufficient for your examination. So I will come with one more video related with the Apprentice Act and Child Labor Act. So until then, goodbye to all.